Welcome to American Horizon, your source for in-depth political analysis. Today, we're examining Kamala Harris's unexpected defeat to Donald Trump in the 2024 presidential election. Despite predictions of a close race, the outcome was clear-cut. Why did Harris, with the momentum of being the first female vice president and a champion of progressive values, fall short? In this video, we'll explore the main factors: her late campaign start, failure to distance herself from Joe Biden's legacy, challenges with key voter demographics, and backlash over critical issues. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more from American Horizon. Democrat Kamala Harris lost the presidential election to Republican Donald Trump, who has now officially been elected as the 47th President of the United States. So, how can we explain her defeat? That is the headline topic for today. Kamala Harris officially conceded her loss in the U.S. presidential election to Donald Trump, whom she congratulated over the phone, emphasizing the need for a peaceful transition between the current president, Joe Biden, and Donald Trump. She then addressed her supporters from Washington, D.C., delivering a 10-minute speech in which she called for acceptance of the election results while urging her voters to continue fighting for their beliefs and defending values such as democracy and abortion rights. But how can we explain this clear defeat for Kamala Harris when the polls had predicted a very close race? Naturally, it's an election, so there were many factors to analyze, including the success of Donald Trump. Today, however, in this episode of Current Events, we'll focus on the failures on Kamala Harris's side. The first key element to consider is her very late entry into the campaign. Initially, Joe Biden was supposed to run for re-election and represent the Democrats against Donald Trump, but he ultimately withdrew from the presidential race in July 2024. It was then Vice President Kamala Harris who stepped in, launching a campaign that lasted only 107 days, just 3 months. This could have been beneficial, bringing a sense of freshness or novelty to the candidacy. However, the risk was that she wouldn't have enough time to truly establish her platform. Additionally, it should be noted that Kamala Harris was not elected through the Democratic primaries, which is the process where voters choose the candidate for the party, in this case, the Democratic Party. Some people believed that her presidential candidacy was not legitimate due to the absence of a primary. Another factor that explains her defeat was her difficulty in distinguishing herself from Joe Biden. During an interview in October on the American channel ABC, a host asked Kamala Harris if she would have done anything differently from him over the past 4 years. Kamala Harris responded, "Nothing comes to mind," which many considered a major mistake when she should have distanced herself from Joe Biden. In fact, it's worth noting that Trump reused this interview segment multiple times during his rallies to suggest that Kamala Harris did not represent the change Americans were seeking. Joe Biden's record has faced significant criticism in recent years, particularly on economic grounds. Although some economic indicators, such as the unemployment rate and GDP, the total value of goods and services produced by a country over a year, are relatively positive, inflation, the general increase in prices, as well as the high prices of gasoline and essential goods in the United States, are perceived very negatively by many Americans. More broadly, the issue of purchasing power remains a central concern, with poverty still being a significant problem in the country. As vice president under the Biden administration, Kamala Harris was therefore seen as responsible or at least co-responsible for this economic record, which weakened her candidacy. Another concern that some voters felt Kamala Harris failed to address was illegal immigration. Throughout his campaign, Trump repeatedly condemned illegal immigration and made it one of his top priorities. Additionally, the impact of wars played a role in shaping the perception of Joe Biden's record. Since Donald Trump's departure from the White House, there has been the large-scale invasion of Ukraine by Russia in February 2022, as well as ongoing tensions in the Middle East, including the situations in Israel, Gaza, and Lebanon. It should be noted that many Democratic voters criticize the military support provided by Joe Biden's administration to Israel since the start of the war in Gaza. These were individuals who, disillusioned, voted for Trump out of frustration. This could potentially explain lower voter turnout in certain areas, such as university campuses. According to an exit poll conducted by Edison Research, another factor in this election was that the support from women was lower than expected, even though 54% of women still voted for her. This was significant for Kamala Harris, especially given that Donald Trump had repeatedly threatened abortion rights and had been accused and found guilty of sexual assault by the justice system. It is also worth mentioning that the Hispanic and Latino electorate was a critical factor in this election. However, this demographic is traditionally conservative on social issues, and therefore may have preferred to support Donald Trump. Finally, the last element that may have disadvantaged Kamala Harris was her decision to focus the end of her campaign on attacking Donald Trump, calling him a fascist and asserting his unfitness to govern. While this could be a strategy to mobilize her base by highlighting the threat to democracy, some believe it was not effective for another part of the population that ultimately preferred to vote for Donald Trump. These are, at least, some elements that help explain the outcome. At the end of the day, Kamala Harris's loss in the election isn't just about one candidate, but the complex web of political challenges, personal dynamics, and shifting public opinions that shape every race. Her journey, while full of potential, was marred by hurdles that even the most seasoned politicians can't always overcome. But just like any setback in politics, it's never the end, only the beginning of the next chapter. What do you think? Was her loss inevitable? Or did other factors play a larger role? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that like button if you found this breakdown insightful.